do, baby? We are back live for the first time in a long time, but we didn't forget about you. We're still here. We just got some shit going on, man, and we're just busy as hell. So, finally was able to sit down, get the group back together. Like, hey, let's talk about some shit, and that's what we're gonna do tonight. So, if you are joining us, we want to thank you. We appreciate you checking in with us tonight. And if you're not joining us, well, it's your loss. We'll catch you. We'll catch you in another 4 months. But I mean, if you don't know, I'm your host, Landon Oliver, here with my two co-hosts. We got my boy Drew from Fantasy and Frames, my boy Jared from Degenerate Nation, Degeneration X, and I, of course, am with the Blue Stable, covering the biggest shit show on turf. And,
it's a clever nickname.
Yeah. Well, they said the greatest show on turf. This is the shit show on turf. Oh,
I'll let you have that one.
Wait. Can we just recognize something real quick? Tomorrow,
all right. Yes. So Jared's been like a Texas Rangers fan since birth, basically, and that was a long time ago because he's old as hell. But go ahead, pop up, Jared. Go ahead, strut your stuff.
Yeah, I'm just ready. I really want this series to go 4 games and be done. Like, I don't want to go good World Series. I just want a championship. I'm pretty excited. I definitely feel like Philly not getting in was a good thing, but at the same time, still nervous about that bullpen. But go Rangers! Rangers
probably hoping it goes a little bit different than the last time the Rangers were in the World Series, right?
Yeah, no David Freese, please. Still got nightmares.
I'm so annoyed.
I'm glad it was the Cardinals. That one hurt more than the first time we lost, though, I will say, because of how the series ended. But I like the Cardinals, too.
It's so frustrating that the Diamondbacks traded Paul Goldschmidt to the Cardinals and won a pennant before the Cardinals did. I'm so annoyed, man. Oh, I'm so annoyed.
Well, Garcia, I mean, the story behind him, and like I always give you guys crap because you guys are Cardinals fans. I'm like, thanks for Garcia, but hell, the Rangers didn't even want him. It's very fortunate that every team passed on him, basically, and the guy is a machine right now.
Yeah, there's a couple misses that Mozeliak's had over the years that I hold against him. That's one that it doesn't phase. I mean, it sucks that he's doing it for somebody else, but it doesn't phase me that they moved on. I mean, the breakout this guy's had, as late as he's had, it's fun to watch. The dude's electric. He's a blast to watch. So I'm glad it happened. But it's just like an anomaly.
The crazy thing is too, like the numbers he put up in the ALCS. That's with a game with 4 strikeouts and a game where he got ejected. And his numbers are still like off.
That man is a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It's unreal. I hope the Rangers do it for you, man. I mean, I have no rooting interest, but you're a Rangers fan, only Rangers fan I've ever known. So I'm rooting for the Rangers for you.
Thanks.
And I want to see Garcia and Montgomery get rings too. So
yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah. Baseball's dead to me.
Yeah, been dead ever since. Once Waino got win number 200, I was all right. Yeah, I can move on now. That's the only thing. Once I realized the way
I checked out about mid-June.
Once I realized the way this season was trending for the Cardinals, the one and only thing I wanted out of this season was for Waino to get 200. That was it. I didn't care anything else that happened. Waino got 200, and they suck bad enough. They've got top 5 odds to get the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So
they draft well too.
And they do that. Yeah, they do that. So I'll be right back. Give me just a few months, and I'll be right back for what 2024 ring season. We're back. I just need the Cardinals to go sign a couple pitchers, and I'll be right back on board. I'm ready to get hurt again.
Well, speaking of getting hurt, the NFL has started again, and We're halfway through the season. Tonight, I think, kicks off week 8. Buffalo Bills taking on the Buccaneers. Josh Allen doing his thing right now. NBA season is officially back as well. Started a couple nights ago. I know your boy KD got the first dub.
It was a hell of a game.
Thanks to Devin Booker, of course.
Yeah, Devin Booker showed out. And
MVP?
I don't think he's playing against the Lakers tonight. So
He's
it'll be
out
interesting
tonight.
to see. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they look like against the Lakers, and it'd be interesting to see if
Bill's still out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Phoenix's rotation tonight is disgusting. I'm playing DFS, so I've got like Goodwin and it's
at least they get to
gross.
face Anthony Davis, so that's a positive right now.
It's a bad thing for like half the game, and then it'll be a good thing for half the game. So hopefully hopefully good Anthony Davis shows up in like the first half, and then bad Anthony Davis shows up in the second half.
I'm hoping it's a LeBron night.
I think this will
have to do it in about 29 minutes. So
yeah, he's gonna have to be very efficient, which he also is.
Yeah,
but
he is.
LeBron and KD haven't really gone up against each other much. One or the other one has been injured the last few years, so I think they're both going to get up for this game. Like guys at that level that don't get to see each other that often on the court, I think they're both going to get up for the game tonight. I think it'll be a fun one to watch. And despite the public narrative that the Suns would be top heavy, that bench looked pretty solid. They look like they got some good depth behind their stars. So those guys
are going to really see it tonight.
Those guys going to show up tonight. So it was just
Nurkic played really well the other night.
Pacers look great,
but he's another one they a lot of their guys on the bench though, man. Like they just can't stay healthy a full season. Like they never do. So early on, I expected them to kind of be impressive. I'm curious what they're going to look like in February, March. Those guys got to stay healthy. They
talking about Phoenix?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Nurkic has ever played a full season ever.
They got Drew Eubanks though.
Piece of them. Mm-hmm.
So they're not dead if Jokic gets hurt. He's pretty solid backup center.
Yeah. Yeah, Pacers looked good last night. Got to watch that.
Their pace is no pun intended, but the Pacers' pace is ridiculous.
It was like that last year though too. They play super fast.
Yeah, I love it. They scored 143 points last night.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a fun game. So
all right, so y'all want to talk some football?
Yeah, man.
Sure.
Are you sure y'all want to talk football?
Well,
I see the stuff in your backdrop, Landon. It's no secret to me, but in case anybody, is new, if somebody comes through new, they might not know without looking behind you. But Colts fans, it might be a little tough to talk about right now. But I don't know. I imagine you got to be feeling somewhat optimistic because it looks like you found your franchise guy. I think.
Oh, we found a head coach. That's for sure.
Yeah, Shane Steichen's legit.
He's a ball.
Yeah, I like Steichen.
I mean, the record's the record, but they should have beat Cleveland last week. They have.
Yeah, I was going to say, what Steichen has done with Gardner Minshew, basically almost the full season outside of a game and a few 3 quarters. It's been they're the only team in the NFL. They've scored 20 points every single game. And
they had the most dropbacks in the NFL too. I read that this morning.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
JT's back. JT, everybody's been telling me.
JT looked like himself last week. It looked like he looked more like the he looked not 100%, but he looked more like the JT of old last week.
He's still missing that 5th gear that he has. He hasn't got that. But that's
Zach Moss has been great.
Zach Moss, man, balling out.
Zach Moss has
looking good. The defense is what it is, man. I've been catching so much shit online because I don't subscribe to this. Because look, as you know, or maybe you don't. I don't know if you do or not. Anytime you start getting a Twitter following, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Would not know.
Yeah, because
I got 600 followers, I think. So
yeah, well, count your blessings. because no matter what I say or do is wrong. Like I can't do anything right. And so if I criticize any part of this team, I just get murdered in the car. So like a few weeks ago, or well, maybe it was probably about a month ago. I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, Drew, your boy Jake Funk. Um,
Oh, yeah, running back. Yep.
yeah, so I'd said something.
What's up,
I
Eddie?
guess it was well actually it wasn't even really anything about Jake Funk. It was I can't remember what game it was, but there's just this huge hole, and I understand like so he was like trying to be patient with it and all that, and I get that because you're trying to bring the second level defenders into the block and you want to be patient and set your blocks up. And all I said was like you like because JT he's just got different speed than everybody else. Like he's a freak. So I was like, man, if JT's on the field, like this is probably six. Oh my God. Heaven fucking forbid I talk good about Jonathan Taylor being one of the best running backs in football. Because whenever I said that, well, Jake Funk quote tweeted it and was like,
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So I had Colts fans. I actually had somebody like a Colts fan. I had somebody message me to go kill myself.
Shut up.
Dude,
Seriously?
swear. Yeah.
Oh my God, you fucking embarrassing people.
Dude, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, I was just getting like murdered. And like I didn't even say anything bad about Jake Funk. I was like, I understood what he was doing. Like he made the right play. The only thing I was saying was Jonathan Taylor's a better player than Jake Funk. That's really all it was. And
Shouldn't
that's
be a
true.
hot take.
Yeah, yeah.
It shouldn't be a hot take.
So yeah, that was a fucking disaster. And my favorite one so far is like anytime I say anything negative about the Colts, I always get the do you even watch the games? I always get that one.
Like you literally don't cover the team and your job isn't to watch the games.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
like
rewatch the game that you
yeah,
just
like I
watched.
literally don't just sit and like watch the all 22 like 4 times.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's a lot of bullshit involved with it.
Oh,
Like
we got some Colts stuff going on in the comments though. That is, it doesn't seem to be so negative though. Looks like
no, these are good.
AR surgery went well. I hadn't heard anything about it, but maybe you guys know a little bit more about that. Richardson surgery went well.
Yeah, it did. It went really well.
It lasted about 3 quarters.
Yeah, had it a couple days ago, and same dude that did Aaron Rodgers' Achilles and J.K. Dobbins' Achilles did his surgery, and even though it has nothing to do with his Achilles, but it's still did his shoulder surgery. Nothing crazy, they didn't find anything. He's going to make a full recovery. It's really similar to like what Matthew Stafford had, like whenever
early on in his career.
Yeah, it's literally almost the exact same thing. So, yeah, everything's good. He should be ready to go here in like 4 months. He'll be back ready for camp and all that stuff. Like he's good. He's fine. Hopefully, stay healthy.
Eddie wants to see the absolute dog out there from Washington to come out and join the wide receiver room. I'd like that. I think you guys do, whether it's a trade or I don't know what the free agency class looks like, but whether it's a trade.
Not good.
So whether it's a trade then or through the draft, I do think
you
guys should add another wide receiver.
This wide receiver class is
loaded.
Looking nice.
Yeah, looks good. Looks real good.
Drew, let's talk about Puka. That's what we need to talk about next is Puka. That dude came out of nowhere.
We'll talk about the Rams. I don't want to skip over the rest of the AFC. Huh?
So he only came out of nowhere for the people who didn't know.
That's me. He came out of nowhere. Absolutely came out of nowhere.
The only reason that I knew about Puka this year, even before the Rams took him, is because this was like year 3 or year 4 of me doing my own dynasty rankings for fantasy, and so Puka was heavily on the dynasty radar. He was one of my favorite like 3rd round rookie picks in dynasty, and obviously whenever he went to the Rams, that elevated my excitement a little bit more for him too. But so as my bias tends to come out, but yeah, no, I mean Puka was. I don't know. He's almost like a Robert Woods clone, man. Just not quite as fast, but The dude's a baller. He's an absolute baller, man.
Man, the first 4 weeks of DFS, if you didn't have Puka or Adam fucking Dust Phelan, you were cooked every week, like every single week.
Yeah, see, I was lucky enough. Like, I got to see him, which I mean, I liked him before. Like, I was a big fan when I was scouting all the wide receivers this year. I was a big fan of him, and then I got to see him down at the Senior Bowl, and he only practiced for like a couple because he had like a hand injury, so he didn't play in the Senior Bowl. But I did get to see him. Like, I mean, he was legit. He was he was probably one of my favorite receivers in this class. And then, so that's why, like, whenever we did the draft, Drew, whenever we were doing like our dynasty draft and all that, I took him in like the 13th round. And
it was good. It was good value for Puka.
Well, yeah, hindsight, yeah.
No, even whenever you took him, I thought it was a good pick before the season started. Like, I thought
it was funny, like, because there's a few.
Value.
I remember like hearing like a few guys in the comments. It might have been James actually. He was like, "Who the fuck is Puka Nacua?"
That was probably me.
I was like, "Oh, y'all gonna learn."
Yeah,
I was on the Cooper Kupp's gonna be out. Okay, Van Jefferson sucks. I think we figured that out pretty quick. And then I was like, all right, Tutu Atwell, which he did.
He's been playing good too.
He played
really
well early, especially early.
Yeah, Tutu's played really well. He's been a lot better than I thought he was going to be. So I mean, for the Colts, I'm assuming we're looking like, I especially with Anthony Richardson out, this is more so like just take the year to figure out what you got on the roster, figure out what your holes are, figure what your needs are, and then hopefully reload to compete in year 2 with Anthony Richardson, right?
Yeah,
like that's the outlook for the most part.
I don't know, like
even if they do end up being like a fringe wild card team, like you're not going anywhere with Gardner Minshew at quarterback,
No.
So like I
feel
like that.
I mean, I don't know, like, because it's hard to really like evaluate what you have because this entire rookie class is like hurt. So I mean, like, you don't really know.
Oh, not just Richardson.
Oh God, no, man. So, yeah, I mean, Juju Brents is hurt. There was like 2 or 3 guys, which, I mean, I'm not gonna like go through every one of them, but like, I mean, they were like Daniel Scott was one. There was another there was another guy. Obviously Evan Hole was one. Like, there's multiple guys that are like out for the year on this.
One guy that ain't hurt though
is my
Josh
boy.
Downs.
Josh Downs is great.
Gardner Minshew
that was a landing call.
Gardner Minshew loves him some Josh Downs.
That's what was crazy about him. Like,
he looked good even with Richardson on the field, but Minshew has been loving that dude.
Yeah, because he gets open all the time. Mm-hmm. He's always open, and that's why, like, before this, like, even before the draft, like, I had like a top. I think he was like 36th overall in my rankings going into the draft, and so whenever they got him at like, in the 3rd round, I was like, because they picked him, it was like pick like 50 something, and I was like, man, there is no way Josh Downs should have fell that far.
I remember you texted me and said that because that was a sentiment that I
yeah, I loved him at North Carolina, and so I was super hyped whenever they got Josh Downs, and to see that kind of like realized out on the field so far this year. I mean, it took him, of course, a few weeks. He's a rookie, but these last like 2 or 3 weeks, man, like he's showed out.
The Cleveland defense had given up virtually nothing to wide receivers before last week.
All 3 of the Colts wide receivers like did their thing.
Yeah,
like,
that was the best output from the wide receiver position against the Browns defense all year.
Yeah.
So that was wild.
Yeah, I mean, if they could just quit turning the fucking ball over, I mean, they'd probably win some ball games. But
that would help, yeah.
But yeah,
it goes a long way.
Yeah,
it does go a long way.
So something else that probably makes your heart happy. Looks like the Tennessee Titans might be heading to tank mode, which maybe that doesn't make you happy. I don't know. They're finally realizing they need to, stop being a fringe playoff team, like barely good enough to make the win anything.
There we go.
Like, I think as a Colts fan, you'd probably rather them stay there than, than finally decide to blow it up. But it looks like that might be the direction they're headed.
I think I messaged that the other day. I was like, man, like, I don't want them to sell the farm. Like, I want them to kind of stay where they're at right now, which is like they're not bad enough to end up with like a super high pick, but they're not good enough to really do anything. So, I would like them to stay in purgatory. But I will say, like, which is something else I caught shit for the other day because heaven forbid, you wish somebody well that's on the Tennessee Titans. But I saw where they're playing Will Levis.
Live, laugh, Levis, yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah. So I got a chance to talk to Will about 2 or 3 times, during the process, and got, of course, to go to Kentucky's pro day. Got to talk to him there. He's just he's a good dude. He's a good football player. Always liked him at Kentucky. Obviously, living in Kentucky, as you know, him being the Kentucky quarterback holds a little bit, special place for me just because he played not so great this year, but like last year, and before the injury, which everybody forgets about,
and before they switched play callers and
gosh, yeah,
dude, their OC his last year in college was
trash.
Awful.
Yeah. So yeah, like I put out there, I was like, look, man, like he didn't end up as because obviously Anthony Richardson was my QB1 in the class. But I think he was third, because I had it Richardson, Stroud, Levis, and then Bryce Young. And the only reason I even put Bryce Young that low was just because of the size. Like, it scares me. Like, I'm just terrified of it. But yeah, I mean, I still really like Will Levis, and so I was like, man, like they're gonna play him. I hope he does well. Obviously not too well, but I hope he goes out there and does his thing, and
maybe he does. Maybe he does do well enough to at least mess up their draft pick. He'll
do well enough to showcase DeAndre Hopkins so he can get traded next.
Well, the trade deadline's Tuesday, so he better show.
I think they're gonna deal both Hopkins and Henry.
Yeah,
they should.
Man, yeah, they should. They absolutely
I don't know if
should.
they will, but they should.
Yeah,
I think all signs are pointing. Derrick Henry's almost a lock to be traded.
I know there was talk about the Ravens being interested.
Oh my Lord! Oh my God, that would be crazy. I think,
and naturally, if anytime there's a running back on the trade market, the Rams somehow get their name thrown in there just because Rams and running backs
kicking around a little bit.
I saw Dallas's name thrown out there. Tony Pollard hasn't been as efficient as they hoped. Once he was given the workload, which is, I mean, this is what you expect. Like if you give a running back more carries, their efficiency is naturally going to go down. It's just
he's not a 20 touchback.
No, he's not, and so I think they would make sense to kind of get him back into the role he thrived in. Speaking of QB1s, though, how about my QB1 from this class, Mr. CJ Stroud up there balling, got the Houston Texans.
They're so much fun, man. That team is.
And they've been missing Tank Dell for the last few weeks. Like they haven't even had Tank. Nico Collins has been balling though, and they got a guy that it seems like that team is loving playing for D'Amico Ryans. Like everybody just talks so glowingly about that dude. Like
Will Anderson's out there doing his thing too, of course.
Yeah,
they cannot run football. They just throw 40 plus times a game.
Well, I mean, they're missing like 4 starting offensive linemen. Like
they had a couple get healthy this past week, and it's still that's something that you talk about getting crushed for things. That's something that I've kind of gotten crushed for. Is just saying that I don't think Damian Pierce is that good.
And I don't
think he's like a running back one. I think he's a good rotational guy.
But he is an RB1. And I don't think he's that great.
He's starting to lose more and more touches to Devin Singletary. So we'll see. But I mean, whenever you got a guy that shows you that he's that guy, if your running game ain't working, ain't no need to try to force it. Just let that dude sling the rock, man. And on top, like, on top of that, he's his ball security is incredible. Like the dude don't turn the ball over. It took him how many games to throw a pick? Like,
Yeah, man, like that's crazy because you remember in the off season, what was wild is like how bad he was going to be because those S2 cognition scores. You remember those S2 scores, man? Like,
yeah, and then his first preseason game against New England, whenever he threw a pick on his first drive of it. Everybody was first drive of his first preseason game of his career. He throws a pick, and everybody's like, "Oh, this guy's screwed." It's like,
yeah.
what are we
Career
doing?
is over.
The Jamar Chase football thing.
Yeah,
you can't catch NFL footballs.
Unreal. Yeah, Stroud's been amazing, man. And those, they're gonna get Tank Dell back this week, and Nico Collins is balled out. This is the year too. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Just kind of off the subject a little bit here, but the wide receiver twos this year have been terrible. Like it's like the elite wide receiver ones have been great, but normally like it's somewhat kind of balanced. You got your secondary like T. Higgins has been trash. He's been
Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle.
Well, really that's kind of correlates with the quarterback play this year has been like really bad across almost across the board outside of like a few guys. I mean, just overall, this was like the first year. I remember I was talking to Jared on the phone about this. Like EPA, which is like expected points added, is like one of those, PFF stats, stats, spreadsheets. Yay.
About
so this is the first year. It was like through 6 weeks, I think, whenever I called him, but this is the first year in like 30 something years where the EPA for a drop back pass was a negative point. So like the defense benefited from quarterbacks dropping back and passing the ball for the first time in years. Yeah. So the quarterback play, like I said, outside of like a few guys, has been not great. So one guy that has been great, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
He's bald. Real quick before we go to Lamar though, I want to see what you guys think. Who at the end of the year who wins this division, Houston or Jacksonville?
Jacksonville.
Oh, Jacksonville.
It's still Jacksonville. Houston's not there yet.
Yeah, they're not quite there yet. They're one of the they're one of the more fun teams in the AFC. I feel like the AFC is not that fun right now. Like I don't like Cincinnati's been boring. Pittsburgh can't score. Cleveland, who knows? Like that. Baltimore's been fun. Kansas City has been boring up until last week. The Chargers suck. They're just more fun. They're just a fun bad team.
Lamar looks awesome though. He's been
like crushing. It's so funny too because like you look at like the 0.4 and like points against, and like especially like I'm just looking at like the Colts one right now. So the Colts have scored the same amount of points as Kansas City has this season, and they're
Kansas City's defense has been just as good, if not better, than their offense this year.
Yeah,
which is that should be scary for the rest of the league. You're gonna give Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes a top 3, top 5 defense. Like,
I think they finally found them. I think they finally figured out who their wide receiver one is. So outside of Kelsey, Rice is the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean he's far and away. I mean Sky Moore has looked terrible. Kadarius Toney is what he is.
Yeah, this guy right there is Sky Moore.
MVS is what he is. They brought McCole Hardman back, but I mean, like we've already seen that story before. Like Rashee Rice is really the only one bringing anything to the table outside of Kelsey right now. So, but he's Duke can ball, and he's still playing. He's still playing somewhat limited snaps. He's finally playing more snaps than Sky Moore, but I think MVS is still out snapping him. But that's it though. So. I think that'll be exciting, but I'm I'm a little annoyed because this is still fresh because the Rams just played them. I don't understand. I partially know why because it's Mike Tomlin, but it's so annoying watching the Steelers continue to win games. Like
Because they're gritty.
they had no business winning that game. Like the Rams blew that. But how in the hell are the Steelers 4-2?
Kenny Pickett's terrible too.
Yeah, he's looked awful, man.
Well, not in the second half.
Their secondary hasn't been.
Second half, Kenny Pickett is like one of the best quarterbacks in football.
Yeah,
Hold on a sec. My wife's coming.
You're good. Do your thing. And then Cleveland, Cleveland's gotten one game out of Deshaun Watson, and they're 4-2.
I think they benched him on Sunday too. I think he could have went back in that game.
They said after the game last week, they said, yeah, Watson will start next week, and now he's not playing this week either.
Nope. I think that they're done. But they can't do anything about it. Like, they're stuck with him. There ain't nobody that's going to want to trade for him or anything.
No.
Their season kind of went down the hillside in the moment Nick Chubb went down too. The defense is great, but they can't score enough points, and they have no quarterback. So,
no, that was their identity: the offensive line, the running game.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs, if not the best pure running back in the league. You lose that for the year.
It's over.
That was so unfortunate, man. Unfortunate.
The teams that I just have no confidence anymore in Buffalo. They are so wildly inconsistent.
They are inconsistent because they look good right now. They're playing really well right now. But they lost to the Patriots and almost lost to the Giants.
They lost to Jacksonville, which they're the division.
Yeah, Jacksonville's a solid team, but almost losing to the Tyrod Taylor-led Giants, then losing to the Patriots, Patriots couldn't score to save their life, and then all of a sudden they come out and just ball out against the Bills. They are very, very inconsistent, and they're beat up right now too. They're dealing with a ton of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. So that also makes things tough, but I don't know. I know Pittsburgh and Cleveland are both ahead of Cincinnati right now, but I think if we fast forward to the end of the year, I think it's still going to be between Baltimore and Cincinnati.
Agreed. 100%.
I think 4 or 5 weeks from now, Cincinnati will have leapfrogged Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
We know how Cincinnati starts off slow every year.
Every year, man. They do this every year.
I know. And then they catapult. They have some concerns, though. I think their defense is a lot better than what they've been playing. And outside of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins has not been good. And I know he's been battling through some injury too.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon's washed. Guy has.
Oh yeah.
I got summoned. I gotta go start the oven for a pizza.
Oh my God.
Go get dinner cooking, man. We'll be here.
That's right. I'll be back in just a second.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Yeah, Joe Mixon, he's dust. His efficiency
he's cooked.
Awful.
He's cooked.
Absolutely awful. But yeah, the AFC, Denver's bad, which I knew even with Sean Payton it wasn't going to work. That's just not. I don't even know if it's Russ anymore. I think it's just their defense, which last year was phenomenal, is just god awful this season.
Let me ask you this: that division is going to be easy to talk about, and I don't think Landon will miss talking about that one. So that's the one we'll cover while he's doing the pizza. But before we do, Baltimore, Cincinnati.
We're hanging with Baltimore.
Yeah, I think so too.
Their defense is good too. That offense is lit. They might be the scariest team in AFC right now too.
I think it's them, and I think it's the team at the top of the AFC West with Kansas City, and it more so just because of how good their defenses look. Their offense hasn't even really looked like they've got it completely figured out yet. They're trying to piece it together at the wide receiver position. Kelsey, started the year hurt.
Yeah, they legitimately could be 7-0. The loss was close, and it was without Travis Kelsey. So they're legit. They're the best team in the NFL, in my opinion, until someone knocks them off. Especially
I mean, with what they've shown us they can do on offense, and then what their defense is doing now, I don't know. You know,
And they can
I
run the
really don't
ball.
know how you can debate that. Yeah, Pacheco's look good.
Yep.
Landon, Landon, Jared and I already picked, but we said that we think it's still going to end up being Baltimore and Cincinnati in the AFC North. That we think Cincinnati is going to leapfrog Cleveland and Pittsburgh. You disagree with that?
It's tough. It's tough. I don't know. Like Pittsburgh, like I don't know. Mike Tomlin's just so weird, man. Like they just find a way somehow to just squeak in every year.
They do. They do.
In Cincinnati, man, I don't trust Zach Taylor. Even now, like I don't like.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Zach Taylor guy either.
I don't like their running game. I don't like their offensive line.
Do you trust Harbaugh though? At the same time, he makes some bad calls.
I trust Harbaugh.
So you got Baltimore for that division then?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes it easy then.
I mean, I would say like to me, like Baltimore, like if Lamar is playing at the level he's playing at right now, like I don't know if they're at Kansas City's level, but like I mean, like they're right there. Like,
I think they're the biggest threat to Kansas City.
I agree. Like they're right there because I still don't trust Miami either. Even as good as they are, which we'll get to that. But
is there even as far as the AFC West? Is there really much to talk about? Like Kansas City's awesome; they're still the best team in the AFC.
Every other team in the AFC West is not good.
The only question mark is like, when is Brandon Staley going to get canned?
Never.
I don't know. Like that's what's crazy.
I was a big Staley guy, man. He put together an incredible defense with the Rams before he got that head coaching job, and now the Chargers. Like
he hasn't had the players either.
No, he's had the personnel, and their defense is awful, like terrible. And that's what your head coach is supposed to do. Like you hired a defensive guy, and you got one of the worst defenses in the league.
Yeah,
Milwaukee won by 1 point.
Oh, they ended up squeaking it out?
They did.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like with the roster they have, there's no way in hell the Chargers should be behind the Raiders in that division.
No. You should never be behind Josh McDaniels in anything.
No. No, you shouldn't.
Especially the Broncos too with Sean Payton, man. Look at all that shit that he talked about Nathaniel Hackett in the offseason.
I'm so glad that Sean Payton is sucking ass. It makes me so happy.
You hate the Saints too. You're not a big Sean Payton guy.
No, not a big Sean Payton guy. Turns out Drew Brees had Sean Payton as a system coach. I think I saw something on the internet that was pretty funny. It was like it showed a clip of Sean Payton on on the Herd talking to Colin Cowherd in that, like, before he was a head coach, and he was like, Caleb Williams is one of those quarterbacks to where like somebody's going to tank for Caleb Williams, like they're going to blow up their season to go draft Caleb Williams, and then he becomes a head coach of the Broncos, and all of a sudden they completely suck. It's like this man told us on live TV what he was going to do, and now he's out here trying to do it. Caleb Williams and Sean Payton could be.
They're gonna have somebody take that Russell Wilson contract.
I know.
Good luck.
Yeah, have fun.
But if you suck bad enough to get the number one pick, Russell Wilson, congratulations! You're the most expensive backup quarterback in NFL history. Like, I mean, you know, it is what it is.
Like, I know this is gonna sound blasphemous too. I'm not even a huge Caleb Williams fan.
Oh, I think the kid's legit.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's a good player, but like, I guess it's like this talk of like, I keep hearing like generational thrown around.
You know that word gets thrown around all the time. Like that word is used so loosely now.
Oh, he's the best prospect since Andrew Luck. Or I mean, like, I don't think he's a better prospect than Trevor Lawrence was.
I think he's on par with him.
I don't think he's on par with him.
I don't know if I can say.
I'll go one step further. I don't think he's the best quarterback prospect in this class.
Oh yeah, see, I disagree with you on that. I think he's better.
But that's fine. It is what it is. But we'll get into. I mean, we got.
I do like Drake May too, though. But I do think that Caleb Williams is better. But I'm glad you feel that way. That just means that our NFL draft stuff this offseason is
Yeah.
going to be a blast, man.
I mean, it's not that I dislike Caleb Williams. I think he's he's a really good prospect. Probably going to end up being a really good football player. But like this whole like Patrick Mahomes, Andrew Luck, Peyton Man, like
yeah, I know it
like, bro,
always
how many
people
times
do this every year.
bro? Well, not only that, but like how many times have we seen this with Lincoln Riley? How many times do we have to see this with Lincoln Riley?
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point.
Because it's the same story. Everything looks good.
That dude does nothing but churn out Heisman winners. That's what Lincoln Riley does.
Everything looks great when everything is picture perfect on the offense. When he's got wide open guys and he's out there running around and making plays.
That part is why I do believe in Caleb. Is even out of structure, whenever things break down, the dude just does so much jaw dropping stuff.
He'll make a few highlight plays. I get that, but look at the numbers under pressure. Like whenever he faces pressure consistently.
You know who else was bad under pressure in college?
Patrick Mahomes.
CJ Stroud.
Oh.
Man, he ain't
they're not the same type of quarterback.
He ain't throwing the ball like CJ Stroud.
No, I'm not making a 1-for-1 comparison. I'm just saying CJ Stroud also was, if you look at his numbers under pressure in college, he also wasn't good whenever he was under pressure.
Yeah, but CJ Stroud at least has like games on film where he gets pressured and like I don't know. I just don't buy into the whole like I'm gonna run around and like make highlight plays because there's a lot of times whenever guys do that and they miss the correct reads to throw the ball. I mean, like they miss the on target reads. Like if you're missing progressions, to me that's a red flag. Like because I mean, is it great that you can escape and run around and make a crazy play? Absolutely. But
you almost have to now.
Mm-hmm. You do like in like I'm just saying because once you get to the NFL, man, like it's a lot different with college guys chasing you and you running around and playing backyard football and making plays. Is a lot different than the NFL, where you got 300-pound guys who are probably quicker than you are chasing you. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to be a good player. Of course, obviously, it's going to end up being dependent on where he goes, the scheme, the coach is going to, as we've said it a million times, like situations matter. Like the situation he goes to will matter.
Absolutely.
And that's for any of them. I love Cameron Ward. Cameron Ward, that's been my dude for like 2 years now. Or actually,
yeah, I remember you talking about him a lot last year.
Yeah, so this is 3 years now, technically. So I loved him when he was at Incarnate Word, and then last year, he moves on, and I mean he just balls out. And this year, dude, he looks even better. Like I love what that kid does. I like Drake May. Michael Penix out of Washington is playing phenomenal. Which I mean, of course, he's like
kind of wishy-washy.
He's like 30 years old.
Yeah.
Because I remember when he played at Indiana, he played at IU for a few years. So, but yeah, he looks good too. This is a really good quarterback class.
I think it's pretty clear. Which I admittedly I have to watch more Cameron Ward, which I will. I don't really get into college guys.
You'll enjoy it. It's really fun. Man.
Outside of like the hot, like the big names, I'll try to watch some of them during the season, but I don't really watch a lot of college stuff until after.
JJ McCarthy's playing great for Michigan. Like he's a dude he's going to end up balling out, which apparently, I guess it's easy to play that well whenever you know what they're doing. From stealing side. The old Tom Brady adage there. It's a lot easier to play offense when you know what the defense is doing.
It does make a difference. It does make a difference.
But yeah. Anyway, back to the NFL. Sorry,
I'm sure we can all agree that it's the Chiefs.
I don't know. I mean, it might take years from now. I don't know. I like the whole point I was just trying to make is like I don't know if I've ever seen a prospect on the level of Andrew Luck coming out of college, and I don't know if I'm sure I will again at some point, but it's not this year, and I still haven't seen it. It's just rare for a dude fresh out of college to step into a 2-win football team and take them to 11 wins in the playoffs. And like he's that dude. And it's not even just because I'm a Colts fan. Like, I mean, it's just Luck was just different. Like, he's just a different type of prospect than pretty much anybody I've ever watched. He was better. He was a better prospect than Manning was. Really, the only person I could really compare to him is John Elway. I think Elway and Luck are like on that same level of prospect, and I just don't see that in this class. I don't see that guy. Anyway, back to the NFL.
I'll have to get back to you on that because like I said, I don't watch much college until until the off season. So I'm not the best person to talk about that right now. But yeah, AFC West sucks. Chiefs are bust as far as that goes. But the AFC East, I thought that was going to be a 3-team race, but then the unfortunate thing with Aaron Rodgers, now this is pretty much a 2-team race.
Is Buffalo winning right now?
Yeah, they're up 24-10. They're handling Tampa right now. But I got some questions about both of those teams at the top with Miami and Buffalo. Like, I don't know how to feel about either one of them.
I mean,
I don't know,
Miami,
man.
Dude, Miami's really good. Like,
they are. They're very good. They're
really good.
so fast.
They're good against bad teams, though, man. Like, I didn't realize what their record was.
I'm very. That was the exact point I was going to make. Is Schefter, in his normal Schefter ways, was so quick to say, "Oh, Jalen Ramsey's going to play," because he wanted to be the first person to put it out there. And then Jalen Ramsey came out and was like, "This is news to me." But he's at least trending in the right direction to where it sounds like he's going to be healthy. I want to see what the Dolphins look like whenever they have an actual secondary, because right now you can just pass the ball all day long on Miami.
Oh, I mean, don't get me. And then like Xavier Howard too. So like if they get Howard back and Jalen Ramsey back, then yeah, I mean that completely transformed. Like having 2 players like that on the back end, like that'll transform their defense. And like, but it's not that I don't trust Miami from an aspect of like I don't think they're a really good football team, because I do. It's just Miami somehow, especially like when all like the chips are on the table and they have to do this against the Baltimore Ravens or a Kansas City Chiefs or like one of these other great teams, I just haven't seen them do that against a great football team. And so now, like if they go out and ball out and beat some like really, really good teams, like if they go drop 70 on Kansas City's head in the playoffs, then like, yeah, I mean, at that point, it is what it is. But just right now, I just have Kansas City and, to me, Baltimore. I have Kansas City and Baltimore in their own tier. And then I've got Miami just right there below them. But I still think Miami's a really good football team.
Yeah.
I think they're only going to get better.
I agree. I think the team right below Kansas City and Baltimore, though, is Cincinnati.
I think by the end of the season, it very well could be, just because of the trust that I have in Joey B. And their defense is still a solid. Yeah, the defense is still a solid unit. It's just I feel bad for Burrow because he has to do it in spite of his coaching and not.
That's what I'm saying. That's my biggest problem with them is like they're just they're too one-dimensional on offense.
Yeah, and there's no like, granted, Joe Mixon isn't good, but there's also no creativity in their running game either. They're top 2 in the league in percentage of runs just straight up the gut. Like, there's no creativity in the running game whatsoever.
None.
It's just hand the ball to Joe Mixon and ask him to go straight up the gut, and then and then you're in 2nd and 9, and all right, now ask Joe Burrow to throw the ball twice. Well, it's just like.
I get it, but at the end of the day, only one of those quarterbacks for those 3 teams we just mentioned has beat Mahomes in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You talking about like with Baltimore too?
Yeah, Baltimore's never. They've never beat Kansas City.
Yeah,
While
I don't even know if they've made it far enough to play Kansas
yeah,
City.
no, I'm not using quarterback wins as an argument for them.
I'm just saying, man, Burrow's a winner, and like it's just one of those things where like they get in the playoffs, they're a dangerous team.
Well, yeah, they're
So I completely agree with what you're saying, Landon. Like quarterback wins isn't a thing, but
no,
there are a few quarterbacks in the league right now that are like solely responsible for their team's wins in the playoffs more so than Joe Burrow, though. Like what that dude does to which he's had solid defensive performances too.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like
his defense
let's
has
not act like that.
been
Yeah, let's act like
the
his
last couple of
defense
years.
didn't
His
hold
defense
Kansas
has
City
been
to
good.
0 points in the second half.
Mm-hmm. No, his defense has been solid. I'm just more so talking about the support he gets on the offensive side of the ball from his coaching and his running game. Like it's pretty much on his shoulders, and which again, still a team sport. He still has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to throw the ball to. Those guys are not slouches by any means.
Well, Tyler Boyd's not bad either for a third wide receiver.
Yeah, no, he's a solid wide receiver 3.
But, I mean, out of those other quarterbacks outside of Mahomes, who do you trust in the playoffs more?
Who do I trust out of any of those other guys? I trust Lamar Jackson
in the playoffs.
Yeah, I have no issue with
Lamar Jackson anywhere. I don't care where it is.
Yeah, Lamar's a baller, man.
On a tree in the sea, on a float, on a boat. I'll trust Lamar Jackson wherever he's playing football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially because Lamar Jackson, for the first time in his career, actually has an offensive coordinator that knows what the fuck they're doing. So
they're a dangerous team for sure.
Their offensive coordinator is finally living in the 20th century now. So
yeah, oh my God. You mean Lamar Jackson can throw the football? Who would have ever fucking thought?
Anybody that watches ball, that's who would have thought. It just didn't have the opportunity. Yeah, dude, no, like, I have no issue.
Did you watch the Ravens this last week, Jared? Did you?
Oh yeah, they look great. They look phenomenal.
Bro, go watch the throw. Like, go watch the throws Lamar Jackson made in that game.
Even his back
games, awesome, man.
He made like a 25-yard throw to the out route, like to an out route. And it was just like that's big boy football, man. Like that is like elite passer, like in the pocket.
I get it.
And that's the difference. Like
I'm rooting for Lamar. I am. Like I would love to see him.
He kills dudes in the
knock off Kansas City. But I can tell you, out of those 3 quarterbacks for those 3 teams, only one of them has done it, and there's only one that I trust can do it in the playoffs, and that's Burrow.
I got plenty.
I mean,
I got all the faith in the world. I got all the faith in the world in Mahomes.
But it's still a team sport.
Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Josh Allen. I would be comfortable with any of those 4 guys. I'm still on the fence about Tua.
I'm on the fence about Josh Allen.
I'm on the fence about Josh Allen's.
Short of the second half of last year, whenever he was dealing with that arm injury, he's been nothing but phenomenal.
Even in the playoffs, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, as long as you tell me he's healthy, that's all I need to know. Because the only time over the last 4 years, the only time he's been bad was that second half of the year last year after
when he had a UCL injury.
Yeah, that's the only time over the last 3-4 years he himself has been bad. Like, his defense let Mahomes and Kelsey go down the field in whatever it was, 20 seconds or whatever. But
13 seconds. 13
yeah.
Do you feel like their defense is better this year than what it was that year?
It's tough because they've been so beat up. We haven't seen a healthy Bills defense yet, so it's really tough to know. That's the question mark I have with the Bills.
Their biggest problem too.
My issue is not Josh Allen.
Well, they don't
run the ball.
Yeah, they have no running game.
That would be a team.
They're trying to hand the rock to James Cook and Latavius Murray 20 times a game. Like, just ain't it.
And you know who they could really use a guy like Zach Moss on that front.
Even Devin Singletary might be a better option than what they got right now. Which James Cook has looked okay, but he's not a grinded out ground and pound running back. Like he has a role that he would be good in, and I mean, their best running back is Josh Allen. Their best rushing threat is also their quarterback.
That's
So
what I'm saying. It's like I think they're too one dimensional.
they are absolutely they are
That's
definitely one
that's the
dimensional.
same problem I have with Cincinnati. It's like
Hmm.
they're just really too one dimensional.
They're
Whereas
very
like
similar teams, except Cincinnati's defense is healthy and
Buffalo's
Buffalo's
isn't.
isn't.
But
Outside of that, they're very
and that's
similar
why to
teams.
me like teams like Miami and like teams like Baltimore can beat you any
Multitude of
way.
ways.
Baltimore's
Any way
complete,
they,
man.
Gus
They
Edwards is
can't
gonna,
scared of this.
and that's why. Like, don't get me wrong, Derrick Henry in Baltimore would be fun. They don't need him though. Gus Edwards is gonna walk off the bus and run for 5 yards a carry every
Derrick Henry in the
Sunday.
well,
Derrick Henry in the
that's what
oh,
Gus
playoffs
because
when
does.
it's cold
like
in
Gus is great when he's on the field though. That's the problem. Is
they
he
need
just
depth
take
at
it through
running
a
back
full
more than
season. He
anything.
can't handle a full workload like that because he gets
Well,
hurt.
Well,
but he's not a 3-down back either though. He gives you next to nothing in the receiving game, which is like a Gus Edwards being spelled by Justice Hill running back room is more than good enough to get the job done. Now, if you can go get Derrick Henry, I get it, but even Henry hasn't looked. I don't know.
Derrick,
I'm a big Gus fan, man, and
I love Gus, bro.
and I hate that Dobbins got. J.K. Dobbins was going to crush this year.
As
He
I'm
was
aware.
going to feast
he was well on
this
his way.
year. And he
Yep.
was doing it week 1, man. He looked
Oh, I know.
so good. So
He's my
good.
running back, and then I know.
He was my RB1 in our redraft league. So I feel you. I lost him too.
Yeah,
But
hurts.
he was gonna crush, man. That's what sucks. But
Derrick Henry with Baltimore, though. Derrick Henry running the ball. Let's say Kansas City gets home field at Arrowhead in January, gives them a legit shot to beat Kansas City.
Derrick Henry does just seem kind of like a Baltimore Raven.
Yeah,
Like I could definitely see him in the black and
I
purple.
can see them drawn up. I mean, like, because we all know how Derrick Henry.
Dude,
always-
that
some
running
reason-
game would be so nasty.
I mean, like, especially with him and Gus Edwards, like, they would just beat teams down. Like, they would just wear you out. Like,
That's what I'm saying. No, you can't
Gus
tackle
Edwards-
Derrick Henry when
Gus
it's
Edwards
cold,
has like
you know where
Gus Ed-
Derrick Henry's gonna go, though, right? You know,
Dallas.
No, he's gonna go to Atlanta.
Oh my god! I really do. Arthur Smith is dead.
He's gonna be reunited with Arthur Smith in Atlanta.
Bijan Robinson got one touch in that game.
do not
He had a headache, Jared.
Yeah, and if he had a headache, why the fuck are you waiting until the last drive of the game to give him his first touch? Why you held him out the whole game?
That's a
They had
Vegas.
they had to wait for that Tylenol to kick in to take care of the headache.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories.
I had like and you guys have heard it over the last couple seasons. Like you've heard different versions of the rant, but I had like a 5-minute Arthur Smith rant last night on our Fantasy and Frame show. It's going to get clipped eventually. I'll send you the clip. But I had like a 5-minute rant on that last night. So don't even get me started.
There's a lot of conspiracies right now in the gambling streets that they literally brought him in because FanDuel has been getting destroyed on their sportsbook with people demanding refunds for players getting hurt or being active and not participating. So there's a lot of people that feel like they put him in for one play just so people couldn't get their refunds on that bet.
Well, he played more than one snap. He just only had that one touch. But
he had one touch.
He had a couple snaps in the first half too. He just didn't get the ball.
Well, look, if you listen to the Arthur Smith press conference today, he made it be known.
I don't want to let that. I don't want to listen to that motherfucker talk. He
mentioned fantasy football.
He is so obsessed with letting everybody know how much he doesn't care about fantasy football.
He let everybody know today.
And I'm just like, if you don't care about fantasy football, fine, then stop fucking talking about it. You talk about fantasy football more than fantasy football people do. Every single fucking thing. Every time somebody tries to say, hey, Arthur, what do you think about possibly using your best players to your advantage and actually putting them to use? Well, I'm not a fantasy football player. I'm here to win games. Well, guess what, Arthur? Your career head coaching record is like 8 games under 500. So maybe you need to fucking use your best players so you can fucking maybe even just get up to 500 as a head coach if you care so much about winning fucking football games. Yeah, feature Kyle Pitts. Feature Drake London. give your first round. You took a running back in the top 10. You don't do that. But if you're going to do that, stop making him split carries with the former fucking linebacker that y'all took on day 3 of the draft. Like, and Algiers been fine, and that was part of the reason of like, why are you investing a top 8 pick in the running back whenever your defense is so and your offensive line could use a little bit of work? Like, what? Why? Jalen Carter's sitting there in your lap. You're like, nope, I want a running back that I'm going to give 40% of the work to, and I'm going to give 60% of the work to a day 3 running back that used to play both ways in college.
Oh, now they run Desmond Ridder too.
Bijan Robinson has 100 more rushing yards on like 15 or 16 less carries. He is better across the board, which is what that should be the case, right? You take a running back in the top 10, of course he should be better than the running back you took on day 3. So why are you giving him 40% of the work?
I feel like
they continue to win is the problem also. Like they're running so
they don't. They beat bad teams, and that's it.
Yeah, but they should have lost on Sunday.
They're in a division with bad teams. They've got 6 games against bad teams by default because their division sucks. So he's got a soft schedule. They beat bad teams, and they don't do shit against teams that are actually worth a damn.
I feel like this is like the Barack Obama moment where he's like, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. I got Drew.
Why do we have to talk about Arthur Smith, man? We're talking about the AFC East. I can't stand Arthur Smith, man.
Oh, I know he hates fantasy. However, it sucks. I have Bijan on a fantasy team, and of course, I'm like, I didn't play Bijan last week, thank God. But at the same time, like, that team, like, they'll be down by 14 points and they're still running the ball, and they just don't give a damn. Like,
their running goes up whenever they start losing more. Arthur Smith gets down by 21, and he's like, I need to run more. Like,
Kyle Pitts has been alive though for 2 weeks, which is kind of nice.
Well,
so who do you think is going to win the AFC East?
Miami.
Oh, the East? Buffalo.
Okay, so we've got Kansas City, Jacksonville, Baltimore, and either Miami or Buffalo as the division winners. Who's the wild card teams?
Buffalo,
Miami.
So whichever AFC East team doesn't win the division.
Yeah, Miami.
Cincinnati.
I'll go Pittsburgh. Oh no, Cincinnati.
Which yeah.
I'd say Miami, Cincinnati, and probably Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's going to find a way, right? I want to say Houston just because I'd love to see them. I'd love to see them make it in.
I can't, like, my mental health.
I'm going to say Houston.
2 AFC South teams in the playoffs.
I'm going to say Houston on the grounds that the North is so good. Even Cleveland with no quarterback, their defense is so elite that they can beat anybody. And I think Houston, the South. I mean, the Colts have been hanging tough. Tennessee's a train wreck.
The Colts will put up points. Don't get me wrong. The Colts
Houston can score points, though. That's not a problem.
Points, but they're going to give up a shit ton of points too.
Houston can score points. That was the problem with that, and they just have a better quarterback situation. I can see them sneaking in, man. Them or the Colts. I'll even say the Colts can sneak in. I think it's going to be.
I think the Colts could sneak in, especially like the Colts have a really soft schedule too, like really soft. So it's entirely possible that they could be there at the end of it, but until that defense becomes more consistent and they quit turning the ball over, I mean, I don't know. Dude,
well,
look at the points against right there.
Yeah, but Taylor's getting back in game mode, and if he's in game mode, they can control the clock a lot better and keep the defense off the field a little bit. I mean, that they definitely roster-wise, I feel like they have a better roster in Houston.
Oh, I agree.
And
they just don't have a quarterback. It's the same old song and dance ever since Andrew Luck retired.
Yeah, but I think you can minimize.
They had a good roster. They just don't have the quarterback. So
you can minimize Minshew.
Yeah, but can Minshew minimize Minshew? That's the question.
Probably not. Probably not.
Can
No.
you stop Minshew from Minshewing?
Yeah,
Most likely no.
can he just quit fumbling?
All right, so we got Miami and Buffalo, Baltimore and Cincinnati, Kansas City and Jacksonville. Pretty much all. It's that last wild card team. Is it going to be Houston? Is
I
it
think it's
going to be
gonna.
Pittsburgh? Is
I
it
think it's
going
gonna
to
end up being
be
Pittsburgh.
Indy?
I mean, I don't know. It's Pittsburgh's weird. They're just weird. Like that's just a weird foot. Like they will play to lose.
What about the Jets?
No,
They beat some tough teams, man.
They have.
is Zach Wilson still the quarterback?
Yeah, but Zach Wilson's been the quarterback for all those tough wins, and I'm not saying that Zach Wilson's going to be the reason they win the games or anything, but
Nah.
man, they beat the Bills. They beat
The Bills beat the Bills.
Well, yeah, that's fair, but I mean, hey, the Jets were playing them.
That's why I
Yeah,
don't
you
trust
gotta
them.
take advantage of it, but I mean, you just can't. You can't count on every team to implode.
Yes, you can.
I don't know. This year it might be a solid strategy.
Yeah, I mean,
with how weird it's been.
that's pretty much how it is. I mean, you have to sit back and wait for teams to beat themselves because they're gonna do it this year for sure.
All right, but so we
NFC. Let's talk about the NFC.
Yep. All right. We'll start at the top, the NFC East. Ho hum. The Eagles are really good. They just got better.
To me, that's the best team in football. To me, is the Eagles.
They have some holes, man.
Where?
Their defense has not been that great.
Their passing defense hasn't. Their run defense is still really good. Their pass defense has not been that good this year. They just added Kevin Byard.
I get it.
That'll help a little.
No, it definitely won't hurt things whatsoever.
Should probably help.
Yeah, anytime you can add an all-pro back there, that'll help.
Are you ready for? I want to give my hot take and just get it out of the way real quick.
All right.
Minnesota comes back and wins the North.
It wouldn't really shock me that much, to be honest.
Detroit's a wild card team.
Nah, I'm still a Detroit guy. I've been waiting for this Detroit breakout. I said last year they were going to put it together. This year they're actually going to put it together. Just because they had one bad game against probably one of the hottest. To me, Lamar Jackson's the MVP so far. Like, he would be
he made Detroit like barbecue chicken, man. Oh my Lord, dude!
Yeah, just because you have one
good.
bad week. Just because you have one bad week against the MVP quarterback.
I don't even remember who Detroit's. Seattle. That's who Detroit's other loss was.
Yeah, they lost on the end of a game or overtime. Like it was a close game.
Yeah, so I mean,
I don't know, man. I
still think Detroit's.
I have a feeling.
Detroit's secondary is still suspect, man. They got a legit run defense. The offensive line's awesome. The weapons are solid.
Jahmyr Gibbs finally he's getting healthy too. Like he looked great last week.
He did. David Montgomery's going to get healthy. You know, they've been missing him the last couple weeks. I don't know if he's going to play this week or not, but I know he's at least trending up. If not this week, I would think he would probably be back soon. But my only concern with Detroit continues to be number one, their secondary, and number two, I know who Goff is, man.
Don't.
We've seen that. I've seen it enough, man.
He's good.
I agree. He is good. You're not. You're not. He's got an NFC Championship game ceiling, which is fine. But
I mean, that's better.
That's good enough to win the division to me.
Oh yeah, I very much so think they could still win the division.
I think if Detroit was to win that division, if they win that division and somehow get home field like throughout, which is going to be very difficult, that would be crazy. And because that offensive line is really good, run game's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Weapons are
Aiden
good.
Hutchinson is a monster.
yeah.
Secondary's
So-
not good.
So glad Jacksonville didn't take that guy.
Yeah, no
Jeez
kidding.
Louise, man.
No kidding. That guy is unreal. But I don't know. Is Jefferson got a few more weeks before he's back, or
Yeah, he has to be out at least 4, and he's missed 2 so far.
Yeah.
So he's got at least 2 more games, assuming he only misses the minimum.
But they're talking too about shopping some guys as well. Minnesota is.
Yeah,
Kirk
I don't.
Cousins being one of them?
I think they've played too good the last couple weeks. I don't think they're going to sell. I think the outside world wants them to sell, but I don't think they're going to.
I wouldn't if I were them. Plus, I mean, I don't know. Like they're another team. Like their running game's really bad.
Yeah,
Oh, it's bad.
Alexander Madison is.
they're
he
very
is-
honestly they're very similar to Detroit, other than the fact that they don't have a running game. But like they've got, like I would rather have Kirk Cousins than Jared Goff.
I would probably agree with that.
And it's not by a huge margin. I think that they're pretty close. But I would rather have Kirk Cousins than Jared Goff. But I think they're similar. The weapons for both teams are good. The run defense for both teams are good. But the secondary for both teams are suspect. But the Lions have the better offensive line, and they have the better running game. So I don't know. If it came down to quarterback play, I'm trusting Kirk Cousins over Goff. And that, like, it's not that I know I talk a lot of shit because I had to live through the Goff Rams years, which were better than the times before Goff.
Oh no, my team went to a Super Bowl. How awful!
It's just Goff is incredible as long as he has the protection, he has the weapons, things like that. It's just if things break down or if injuries happen, if things fall apart, he's not going to be the guy to uplift your team and win. It's despite those things. Like,
I worry about them on the road. That's the concern I have with Detroit. When they're at home, I have no worries.
He's been a very different quarterback on the road. I did something for that.
I'm not saying
weeks
Baltimore
ago.
won.
He's actually been pretty good on the road this year.
Yeah,
outside of the Baltimore game.
Yeah, if that game would have been in Detroit, I'm not saying Baltimore would have lost that game, but it would have been.
It probably wouldn't have been as ugly.
Yeah. Detroit's a much better home team.
Sometimes too, you just have bad games. Like things just snowball and get away from you. Like I don't think it defines.
Baltimore's defense is starting to get healthy too. Like they were missing Marcus Williams for a while. I think they're still missing
Marcus Peters.
Marcus Peters is gone. Marlon Humphrey. They've been missing Marlon Humphrey.
Kyle Hamilton is a dog.
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton's a beast. So they're Baltimore's defense is the healthiest they've been all year too. So it's not like that was an easy matchup either. But I don't know. I think Detroit is absolutely good enough to win the division.
I think they win the division.
And win 1 or 2 playoff games too.
Yeah.
Like I think they're a legitimate
they'll be right
good
there
team.
at the very end of it. I think
they've got a really good roster and they're really well coached.
Are we off Dallas altogether?
No, I'm not off Dallas. I think they'll be a wild card team. They'll probably be the first wild card team. If I had to guess, they'll probably be the 5 seed.
Their defense is really good.
Yeah, it sucks so bad what happened to Trayvon Diggs, man.
Man, I know.
That was so unfortunate. That defense was looking like they were going to really just like be one of the better defenses that we've seen in the last few years.
Yeah.
Before that Trayvon Diggs injury.
Hold on. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, you're good. No, I think Philly's clearly the better team, but I think it's a 2-team division. Washington, they tried the Sam Howell experiment. It ain't it. You still need a quarterback. He ain't the guy. The Giants, there's only so much Brian Daboll can do. Even he, I feel like he kind of, I don't know necessarily, I don't want to say it was his fault because he's been, number one, he has to deal with Daniel Jones. Number two, Daniel Jones has been hurt. And then Saquon Barkley's been hurt. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, so I don't even really think it's on Dayball by any means, but
they're basically Kansas City's. They have the same receiving core that Kansas City does with no good quarterback.
yeah, exactly. And they do have a good tight end. Like, he's not Travis Kelce, but Darren Waller, he's been playing well the last couple weeks. Yeah. So, I think the Giants were one of those teams that very clearly overperformed last year, and
they got hot.
Yeah, they came back to earth this year. So, I think the Eagles will win the division. They'll be the best team in the NFC. They'll have the number 1 seed. The Cowboys will probably be the first wild card team. So
I agree.
That one's, and then the NFC North. We've talked a little bit briefly about those guys already, anyway. But I'm with you. I haven't looked at the
Viking schedule is pretty weak.
That's what I was just about to Google it. I haven't looked at the Viking schedule, but I don't hate your call, honestly. I think they're going to beat the Packers. I think they can beat the Falcons. They're better than the Saints. They're better than the Broncos, the Bears, the Raiders. The Bengals game is tough. Oh, my Lord. The Vikings and the Lions. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why I think Minnesota squeaks by now.
What about them?
That is must see. The Vikings and the Lions, they're in the same division, so they play each other twice. They play each other the third to last game of the year and the last game of the year.
Ooh.
Tell him Minnesota's schedule up until that.
So Minnesota's schedule up until the Lions matchups. They got the Packers, the Falcons, the Saints, the Broncos, the Bears, the Raiders, the Bengals, and then Lions, Packers, Lions.
Sheesh.
So I'm with you, Jerry. I don't know if Minnesota does it, but this division is absolutely coming down to the end of the year.
Yep.
Because Minnesota's better than most, if not all, those teams other than Cincinnati that I rattled off before they have the matchup against the Lions. Like Green Bay, you ain't got your guy. Jordan Love ain't it.
No. Oh, my Lord.
Chicago, we ain't got to talk about them. They're on to 2024.
Hey, Tyson Badger, baby, come on.
I know you're excited, but the Bears, the Bears are on to 2024. The Packers, they got to find them a quarterback. This is another 2-team division. And I was
Jordan Love is bad.
Yeah, Jordan Love ain't it.
Apparently, you can't have franchise quarterbacks every single time.
Nope. Eventually,
your luck
the luck
finally run out, Green Bay.
Yeah. Eventually, the luck runs out.
That's a pun that hits too hard at home for you, huh?
Literally runs out.
Well, it's the Manning curse, bro.
So I'm with. And now that I looked at the Viking schedule, I'm with. You know what? Let me also look at, just to be fair.
Look at DraftKings odds.
Let me look at the Lions schedule. The Lions got the Raiders, Chargers, Bears, the Packers, Saints, Bears. Yeah, the Lions
schedule's just as
the Lions schedule is soft too.
Yeah, but they got to go on the road some of those games. Now I don't trust them on the road. They're a different team. I know they played better this year.
Minnesota has to make up a couple games, but both of their games against Detroit are still on the schedule. So
the real key in this is how many primetime games does Minnesota have left?
Hey, Kirk cooked in primetime against one of the best defenses in the league.
Once.
Minnesota is doing the
I'm living in the now, man. I don't care what Kirk did in primetime 3 years ago.
Minnesota
now says Jared Goff is a good quarterback on the road.
Huh?
I said the right now says that Jared Goff has been really good on the road.
He's what, 1 for 2?
He's 3-1 3-1 on the road.
The Lions are 3-1 on the road.
Yeah.
This ain't a quarterback sport. It's a team sport.
Goff has played well on the road, Landon. I agree. I just know
I don't remember who they played this year so far.
Minnesota last year got extremely lucky in close games. Like I think they were like 11-1.
Yeah.
They had They had the road. Yeah. They had an unsustainable
And this year it's been the
win-loss
opposite.
record.
They've
Yep.
lost close games.
That stuff's gonna come back to earth. So the Lions beat the Chiefs in week 1, 21-20. They beat the Packers 34-20. They beat the Buccaneers 20-6. Oh wait, no, that was the Buccaneers game was a home game. No, it was an away game. It's a away game.
They beat Kansas City on the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, week 1.
Yeah, week 1.
Which I didn't think Golf looked all that great week 1. To be honest, he looked bad, but
their defense played extremely well.
Yeah, their defense played awesome in week 1.
David Montgomery is a huge asset to that team too.
Yeah, he's a better Jamal Williams. He looked Golf looked good against the Packers on the road. And he didn't look bad against the Bucs on the road. He didn't really have to do much. They won the game 20-6. He didn't have to do much. So I would say Golf has looked really good on the road. One game, looked so-so on the road a couple games, and looked bad on the road one game. So that's an improvement for the last couple years. So
anyway,
I think it's gonna be really interesting, man. I'm glad you brought that up, Jared, because I had no idea the Lions still had both of their the Lions Vikings. Both those games are still on the schedule, and the fact that it's 2 out of the last 3 weeks of the season, that's gonna be fun.
Oh no, man! I like that. I'm playing against Mike Evans this week, so starting off strong.
Yeah,
1 catch for 7 yards.
The NFC South. Do we even have to talk about these guys?
Atlanta by default. Derek Carr is dust.
Which playoff team is getting a bye?
Derek Carr.
In week 1? Which playoff team's getting a bye the first week of the playoffs?
Derek Carr is an overpaid Andy Dalton.
He is that is true, but he is also an injured player right now.
I'm tired of the Derek Carr excuses. Like, he's not good.
It's not an excuse. I don't think he's great, but it's also not an excuse. He is actively injured right now in his throwing arm. He cannot throw the ball farther than like 10 yards. His only option right now is just to dump it off to Alvin Kamara 20 times a game.
The best thing they could do is play Flamus.
I would love if they put Jameis in, but Derek Carr's hurt right now.
All the more reason to play Flamus.
Yeah, they should have put Jameis in the week after the injury had. Like he should have at least missed one game.
They played the Colts this week.
Well, if there was ever a bounce back spot for any quarterback, it's against that secondary.
How about what about since there's no like real implications for the rest of the season because whatever team does win the division is just going to get bounced. How about the Carolina Panthers being winless and they don't even have their own first round pick?
That's crazy. I mean, I thought they'd be at least better than this. They
don't even have their own. They are 0-6 and they don't have their own first round pick.
Oh, Chicago has it.
Like, bruh.
Yeah, they're bad.
And Bryce ain't got no weapons. He's got Adam
Thielen, bro.
I know Adam Thielen's played really well, and I get that, but like, I'm thinking like long-term plans for your franchise quarterback. Adam Thielen ain't in the long-term itinerary.
Like 34, bro.
Yeah, like it's great for now, and like for Bryce Young's growth, it's probably great having that veteran receiver. But like, man,
I don't know.
They're going to be bad for a few years.
Yeah, it's a bad squad for sure.
Yeah. They actually have some like talent too, which is what's weird. Like on the defensive side of the ball, like
the offensive line they got a little bit of talent there too.
Yeah. Oh well. NFC South. Who cares?
It's the NFC version of what the AFC South was, but I think the AFC South is better now, like much better than this division. But they Freaky Friday'd the divisions. All right, so what, Falcons by default, or is anybody going to see anybody else?
No, absolutely not.
I don't want to root for the Falcons. Like fuck Arthur Smith.
I feel like their defense is probably good enough to
I think
win.
Tampa can squeak it out.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Tampa. I picked Tampa just because I'm not gonna pick Arthur Smith.
I can't pick Baker. I got Atlanta.
Baker's actually.
Baker's played all right. He's been all right.
Atlanta.
All right. Last division.
Oh boy.
This is a coin toss.
No.
Nah, I think it's San Francisco.
Yeah, not really. San
I
Francisco.
feel like it is a coin toss. I don't know if I trust San Francisco.
I don't trust them in the playoffs, but I trust them in season.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're just too talented.
Yeah, the roster's too good. The roster is just too good.
Seattle's sneaky though.
They are.
Seattle's got a good team.
If Geno gets hot, I mean Seattle's good, but
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. They're 4-2, and Geno really haven't played that well this year.
yeah, no, yeah. I mean they're
Kemp Walker's been a beast though.
yeah. Well, they got a
And
good line.
Metcalf's been out or been hurt.
I feel like they're just missing like one difference maker on defense. Like they're missing like an elite pass rusher.
Yeah, their pass rush could use some work. Bobby Wagner still that dude's got the fountain of youth somewhere hidden. Their secondary solid. What was it? Witherspoon? That's the guy they took in the first round this past year. He's
finally
baller.
coming. Yeah, he's coming. Reek
Woolen, baller. Yeah, I don't know.
PSN finally starting to get together.
Well, it's not. He's finally getting the opportunity he deserves. They hadn't been. They've been playing fucking Jake Bobo over JSN.
Bobo caught a touchdown this week.
Yeah, I know, but like they have not been using Jason to the level that they should have, and they've been using him like his ADOT was like -5.
Yeah,
they haven't been using him the way they should, and then they finally, Metcalf gets hurt, and he got the rookie post bye bump. Like their bye week is a little early, but rookie receivers, they hit that bye week, their rookie year, come out, they always get that little bump, and that held true for JSN. This past week was his first week off the bye.
I can't wait for the Josh Downs bump.
Yeah, right. I don't know if he'll. I don't know how he can possibly get one with how well he's already playing. The Cardinals. It sounds like they're going to be getting Kyler back. He's a full participant. His injury no longer has him on the injury report. That doesn't necessarily mean he'll play this week, but if you don't play this week, I think he plays next week.
He's playing quicker than what I thought he would.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's playing
till the end of November at least. But yeah,
if he don't play this week, I think he's playing next week. Which it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for this year. Like the Cardinals aren't going to do anything this year. But
yeah, their defense is rough. They've actually. I mean, Josh Dobbs hasn't been awful though.
No, he's been better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
They were hanging in a lot of games they had no business hanging in for a long time. And they beat Dallas too, which that came out of nowhere. But
that's the NFL.
And then the Rams. I mean, Stafford's been balling.
He's looked great.
He has played so good.
He's so good.
Cooper Kupp is still Cooper Kupp, and he changed. Puka Nacua is a baller. But outside of those two guys, they have no weapons. There is no wide receiver. Tutu's been much better than what I thought he was going to be. I don't want to say they have no weapons, but Tyler Higbee is irrelevant. As far as the offense goes, not real life football.
Hey, at least Henderson's pass pro didn't skip a step.
Yeah, that dude walked straight off the street and immediately was just throwing blitzers all around.
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, their running game is more It hasn't been bad, but it's more so the scheme than it is
Yeah,
the
I was gonna say
player.
it's more of a scheme than
Like
it is like a good.
Kyron Williams, I'm sorry, people. Kyron Williams is not that good. If you look at any of his underlying metrics,
Well,
he is
he's
not
hurt
a
too.
good. Well, but even before he got
Feelings
hurt,
healthy.
I've never seen a running back be like third in the league in rushing yards and look that unimpressive, like on the field. It's wild, man. It really is. Like, if the Rams had a good running back, like if they did trade for Derrick Henry, or if they somehow traded for Saquon or something like that, and you put that in with Sean McVay's run schemes, brother, let me tell you, because the way he's made Kyron Williams and these guys look, he will turn anybody into a running back one. Like it off the street, it don't matter. The dude, the year they went to the Super Bowl with Goff, he grabbed C.J. Anderson off the street and turned him into a top 10 running back. Like
Sure did.
it's wild. McVay and Stafford have been in their bags this year.
Secondary's rough, bro.
The secondary's been really good this year.
Dang,
What do you
it's
mean? They played really well.
I think they just give up. And they're just like
They're a bend
maybe
don't
it's
break.
just like
They're a bend don't break defense, and that's what they've always been. But Akil Witherspoon has played incredible this year.
he has been good, but I think it's like untimely. Like they just give up big plays when they don't need to give up big plays.
They are very much so bend don't break, and I mean that's honestly that's kind of what Raheem Morris's defenses have been.
Byron
the last
Young's
couple
looked really
years.
good out of Tennessee.
Byron Young's look good. They have no. That's their biggest issue right now on the defensive side of the ball is they have no edge rush really outside of what Byron Young has had, and they should not have to depend on a rookie as much as they have.
Yeah.
But they miss Leonard Floyd, who has looked good for Buffalo. They don't have a their secondary. Their secondary without Jalen Ramsey has been much better than their pass rush without Leonard Floyd has been. And Ernest Jones has played pretty well, but they really struggle to cover tight ends, like the linebacker core in terms of like cover. Like if you want to exploit the Rams defense on the offensive side of the ball, just flood your tight end with targets that the week you play the Rams. But their run defense and their pass defense overall have both been pretty strong. But they don't have much of a pass rush, outside of what Aaron Donald generated. But Aaron Donald's getting fucking triple teamed because they don't have an edge rush.
Poor guy.
So I think the Rams very well could end up being a wild card team. They've had a pretty tough schedule to start the year, and then they did themselves no favors last week losing to Pittsburgh. They had no business losing that game.
Yeah, y'all almost let Anthony Richardson come back on y'all that second half.
I was so impressed with watching. I was blown out of my mind watching Anthony Richardson.
Bro, that second half, I was like, oh my gosh. Like this dude, like he literally he put that team on his back.
Bro, I had to like stop myself from rooting for the kid. Like he was playing so well. I was getting excited. And I was like, fuck, he's doing this against my team. Like but I was getting excited.
The one thing I will say,
bro, he made, man, when he was like when Aaron Donald was like wrapped around him, and he's just in the air, literally airborne, and he was just like 40 yards. I was like, I showed that to Jared. I was like, dude, you gotta watch this.
I will say one thing, Drew,
Stupid.
and this is one silver lining as a Rams fan, and you can take this. The Rams by far have the best quarterback in that division.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you there.
Stafford's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, he's played so well this year. That dude, man, I can't say enough good things about him. He's played so well this year.
I know San Francisco's got the most talent, but I know
that was meant to be.
Man, that quarterback situation is their Achilles.
It's not really. It's not. But
Brock's not the guy, man.
I mean, he's good. He's really good. But
really good might be taking it too far.
No,
he's good.
He's really good.
You lost me with the really.
Nah, he's really good.
Middle of the pack he's a middle of the pack starter in the league.
I don't think he's middle.
That's not really
good.
Borderline
top 10 guy.
No.
You guys do understand that like playing quarterback does not always mean running around and making Patrick Mahomes type of plays, right?
I do
Yes,
understand.
I do
It takes
understand
a
that.
What do you
But
mean?
he's not.
What do you mean being able?
He's
Being able
not better. He's not better than Tua. He's not better than Josh Allen. Aaron Rodgers is hurt, so that sucks. I'm not going to count him into that. But he's not better than Tua. He's not better than Josh Allen. He's not better than Lamar. He's not better than Joe Burrow. He's not better than Trevor Lawrence. He's not better than C.J. Stroud. He's not better than Patrick Mahomes. He's not better than Justin Herbert. He's not better than Jalen Hurts. He's probably in the area code. I would say him and Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff. They probably live in the same area.
Yeah, he's borderline top 10 guy.
He's not better than Matthew Stafford. He's not top 10. He is clearly outside the top 10. He's somewhere in that 11 to like 13 to 15 range, which is a middle of the road quarterback in the NFL, which is not really good. He is good, which is much better than what I thought he was last year. Like I'm giving the guy credit right now by saying that. He is a good quarterback.
What he does,
he's not really good.
His ability,
he's got good footwork, and he's great at doing what he's asked to do in the system.
His ability to process information, get the ball out accurately on time, and even the ability to create sometimes, like because he can create when things break down.
And the defense's ability to somehow drop every single ball he puts in their lap, every single fucking one,
like
is
Patrick
also
Mahomes.
Second to none. Like the year Patrick Mahomes had a few years ago that you hold on to. When
Landon came around, he realizes how great Patrick Mahomes is now.
I've always realized how great Patrick Mahomes was. I love Patrick Mahomes.
Brock Purdy has that Patrick Mahomes kind of luck that he had a couple years ago, except it happened all last year and it has transferred again to this year. I paid too much attention to the 49ers because I hate them so much, and I don't know how it keeps happening, but every single bad throw, no, he's not. But every single bad throw I do see him make, other than Minnesota, finally against Minnesota, some defenders started catching some bad passes.
I was gonna say the guys had like this is what's funny to me is people are so like they wait for the downfall, like they just wait for him to play bad in like one game, and then it's like, oh, I told you so, but nobody says anything when he's going out there and winning football games and putting his team in a position to win. Because look, here's at the end of the day, and this is, as we say, situations matter. And I know it does. And that's always been one of the dumbest arguments ever to me. But whenever a guy goes to he's on a team and he's got a really good head coach, he's got a really good offense around him, and he's out there making plays.
He has the best weapons in the league, not just a really good offense.
So like the whole argument was, well, yeah, if you took all those weapons away and he didn't play for Kyle Shanahan, he wouldn't be as good. He wouldn't be good at all. It's like, oh, you mean if he goes to a shit football team with a shitty head coach, he's not going to look good? Who would have ever fucking guessed? Like, I mean, that's the dumbest argument.
No, I agree. I don't think that's a good argument.
So either. So like, why are we killing a guy for doing what he's supposed to do and winning football games? Or he's not winning but
he's getting killed because he's getting propped up like he's like a upper echelon quarterback. But like whenever you turn on the TV, the people that you probably shouldn't be listening to in the first place are propping this guy up like he's an upper echelon quarterback, and he's not.
Well, I think
so that's why people
does certain things that translate to like quarterback play at an upper echelon level. His ability to diagnose what a defense is doing pre and post snap and get the ball out on time and accurately with anticipation is elite. Like it is. It just is. And it shows on the film. I mean, there's nothing. It's there. Like, and as great as Kyle Shanahan is, Kyle Shanahan ain't out there making the throws. Like, I mean, it's great when he can scheme things up, but it's the NFL. Things don't always go 100% perfect every single play. And his ability to get through to his second, third, fourth read on a lot of these plays, like he gets through his progressions better than almost every quarterback in football. He does. And that's part of playing quarterback. Is he going to run around and throw the ball 60 yards on a rope while he's doing a 360 spin and make some cool Sports Center highlight play? No, he's not. That's just not him.
As long as he didn't have to throw the ball, like he is capable of doing that. I mean, he can extend plays as long as he doesn't have to throw the ball further than like 15 yards downfield.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he doesn't have this cannon arm, and he can't run a 4.3, and he's not exciting to watch, and that's the problem. He's not exciting. He doesn't have the physical tools that Trey Lance has. But guess what? He's a better quarterback. He's a quarterback. He is a quarterback. And
he's better than Trey Lance.
What he does at that position for what that team needs, he gets the ball. Like everybody's always talking about, oh well, like look at how great they are at yards after catch. You know why they're so great at yards after catch? Is because Brock Purdy gets the ball out with anticipation on target to them.
Oh, come on. You're not giving Brock Purdy credit for what CMC and Debo do after the catch, right? There's no way.
I'm not giving him credit for what they do because those guys still have to run out there and make the plays.
There's like no quarterback in the league that can't throw a screen pass to CMC or Debo, man.
Yeah, and if
I know you were just talking about how Debo, or I know you're just talking about how like he works through the progressions and stuff. He throws it to his first read the 8th most often in the league. As far as his first read percentage, 71% of the time he throws it to the first read. And that he's 8th in that category. Yeah, but so he's not working through these progressions all the time like you're talking about.
Well,
less than like 30% of the time of his dropbacks he does. 30% of his dropbacks.
I mean, and all like that's a pretty good margin, like for it to get through like those progressions. Like NFL offenses aren't designed for the 4th read or even the 3rd read most of the time to be open.
I'm just what you're saying doesn't add up with what's actually happening. He's not working through his progressions all the time. He doesn't do that.
Well, he doesn't do it all the time. I'm saying, but what he's capable of, like for a guy that young. I mean, this is his second season. This is his second season as a 7th round pick. Like for a guy to be that far along in reading defenses and getting the ball out quick, like that's another thing. Like the anticipation he throws with, like is like it's elite. It's like it's like Tua is the same way. Tua throws with great anticipation.
Tua actually throws the ball downfield.
Well, Tua has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
And he has Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey.
Well, McCaffrey's not going downfield. And a lot of the times Deebo Samuel is not running go routes either.
Brandon Ayuk has been awesome this year.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk is a great field stretcher and great after the catch. And
yeah, so who's throwing him the ball?
I mean, like it's just you're comparing him to Tua. His Brock Purdy's deep throw percentage is 10.4%.
That's what I'm saying. It's a completely different type of offense. I'm not saying he's throwing the ball. I'm saying
it is a completely different type of offense. So how are you comparing their anticipation whenever they're not even throwing the same type of balls?
Because you can measure it's on the film. Like Tua throws with great anticipation in his routes. Brock Purdy also throws with great anticipation in his routes. Jared Goff throws with great anticipation. Right? Well, I don't know if great, but more often than not, it's really good. I don't think it's at the level of those two guys. Brock Purdy and Tua, to me, are like very similar. Their offenses are different, but they're a very similar type of player.
Man.
Well, I know I'm never going to.
I thought I was doing good saying he was a middle of the. I thought I was. I said that he's a middle of the road quarterback. That's a lot better than what I was giving him credit for last year.
You've come a long way, Drew.
Like that is I had him I buried him last year. I believe
everybody's also forgetting this is a guy in his second season.
Yes. I don't think he's bad by any means.
Like if CJ Stroud comes out next year and leads the Houston Texans to the same record Brock Purdy has and all that in his second
He's
season.
a top 5 quarterback if he leads the Houston Texans to like
they run a very
why would their record matter at all to what we think of CJ Stroud?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is like everybody's going to be talking about how
everybody should already think that CJ Stroud is better than Brock Purdy because he's a better quarterback than Brock Purdy already.
I would agree with that.
So like he doesn't need to have a good record next year. He doesn't need to have a good record this year.
They run very similar types of offenses.
Well, yeah, I mean they have the San Francisco coaching tree in Houston, so that makes sense.
All I'm saying is Brock Purdy is really good. He's a really good quarterback.
He's good.
He's really good.
He's good. He's not really good.
No, he's really good.
And he has been. He's a good quarterback that has been extremely fortunate. He landed in a great system with great weapons, a great offensive line, and has gotten to play a mostly cupcake schedule going all the way back to when.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
He won playoff games though, man.
He did. Yeah, he beat a terrible Seattle defense. He put up 19 points against the Cowboys in the playoffs. Yeah, he did. He won games. Those quarterback wins, they stacked up for sure.
That's how
everybody should know, because if you hadn't turned on the TV, over the last 2 seasons, he just lost his first regular season game. Look, as far as quarterback wins go, he's unmatched. He's top of the league whenever it comes to that. But I'm sorry, like just go look at the defenses last year. You can laugh, but go to his game log, look at the defenses he played, and then go to 2022, look at where they were in terms of defensive performance last year, and then look so far this year.
Oh, you mean in his rookie season as a 7th round pick?
Nobody had any issues calling him like a top 5 quarterback his rookie season. So why the hell can't I criticize him?
Well, I don't know why anybody would call him a top 5 quarterback. That's ridiculous. Look, I mean, like, I don't know why it has to be one extreme or another.
I don't either.
Have to be he's either terrible or he's a top 5 quarterback.
I don't think it is. I think he is. For the last 30 minutes, I've been saying he's a middle of the road quarterback.
Well, no, I'm talking about last year.
And I said last year that I said that I buried him last year.
I think he's really good. Okay. Agree to disagree. He's a really good quarterback.
We will definitely agree to disagree on that comment. I will stick with good.
That's okay.
I will stick with good.
Dude, really?
So
if he's I don't understand how you can say I don't trust the 49ers in the playoffs, but I also think that Brock Purdy's a really good quarterback. Why don't you trust the 49ers if they have like the best roster in the league and they have a really good quarterback and one of the best?
Because Kyle Shanahan's the head coach.
Thank you. I was going to say, let me defend Landon on this one. Kyle Shanahan will coach himself out of a win.
He will do something stupid.
It happens every year, except last year. Last year they had no quarterback in that game, so you don't even know who would have won that game. Honestly,
they didn't have a quarterback to start the game either. Brock Purdy looked like shit before he got hurt.
Yeah, but I mean, they legitimately didn't have a quarterback that game.
Yeah, legitimately, from snap one. So I mean, is anybody going to challenge the Eagles then? Like, if not if we don't trust the 49ers, who else is going to challenge the Eagles?
You can crown them.
I don't think so.
You can crown.
I mean, you can crown them. Seriously, them and like right now, like in all honesty, it's going to be a rematch.
Yeah. I would probably say my Super Bowl right now would probably be the same as it was last year.
So we got Philly, Detroit, maybe Minnesota. Who cares with the NFC South, and then San Francisco. So then the wild card teams feel somewhat. So Dallas and Minnesota would probably be two of the wild card teams.
And I'd say
So
Seattle.
and then Seattle's probably the third one.
Yeah, flip mine because I'm on the Vikings to win that division.
Right. Yeah, but
Detroit.
you would have Detroit as a wild card team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we essentially, I mean, I'm gonna selfishly hope that the Rams can find a way to get into the wild card. But man, I think whenever we look back, that them blowing that game against Pittsburgh, which was a winnable game, I think that could end up costing them down the road.
That's tough.
Especially considering the division they got to play in. So I mean, that leaves us.
Carolina not going to win a game this year.
There's not. Whenever you look at their schedule, I saw somebody talking about that the other day, and they brought up their schedule. Whenever you look at their schedule, man, there's not too many games you can pick. That it's gonna have to be a division game because their division sucks. Like they're gonna have to squeak out one against Arizona, or I mean against New Orleans or Tampa or Atlanta. Like they're gonna have to squeak out a divisional game probably. So AFC, Kansas City and Baltimore.
Yep.
That'd probably be my top two.
As it stands right now. Or you could flip Baltimore and Cincinnati.
So Kansas City and an AFC North team.
Yep.
And I still think if Buffalo gets healthy, I still think we can't sleep on Buffalo. I know that they've been really up and down so far to start the year, but their defense.
I don't trust their offensive structure. I think they're just too one-dimensional.
They are, but that one dimension is really good.
It is really good.
It's a pass.
And then NFC, we got Philly and San Francisco. No Cinderella Detroit season or.
No, I think Detroit. I'd put Detroit up there.
Detroit's still in there with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had to pick an NFC.
No, I think Philly's to me in a class of its own.
But if you had to pick, so we got Kansas City and Baltimore in the AFC. If you had to pick like an NFC championship game, who would be the team playing? Who's the team playing Philly?
Even though I think Minnesota wins that division, I'd say Detroit. No. Let me refer. No, I disagree. Hold on, I'm disagreeing with myself.
You disagree with yourself.
Game will be?
I don't trust Detroit on the road. They're going to have to get home field in order to get to Philly.
Right now, like according to the way it works out right now, they do have home field up until they'd have to play Philly.
It would have to stand for them to get to the NFC Championship.
Their schedule's weak. They just might be able to do that.
Yep.
If they can handle the Minnesota games at the end of the year and win the division, I think they very well could end up with the 2 seed, honestly. Their team, I mean, their roster is good enough. The schedule's easy enough.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think this is the year San Francisco misses out on the game. I don't think they play in it this year.
Shit, they've been in the NFC Championship 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
I think they missed it this year.
In all honesty, I'm gonna say Dallas and Philly.
Dallas is tough, man. They would have been, and they'd be even that much tougher if they had Trayvon Diggs. That shit is so unfortunate. So unfortunate. I think Dallas is. I think they're the clear. I think those are the clear 4 best teams in the NFC: Philly, Detroit, San Fran, and Dallas.
Agreed.
And then the AFC, if we go past Baltimore and Kansas City, I would probably say.
I'd say Miami would there's Kansas City and Buffalo to me, and then there's Miami, and then there's another tier break. There's like a third tier, I think.
Kansas City,
Buffalo, Jacksonville, Cincinnati.
Yeah. It's which we said coming into the year the AFC was going to be deeper than the NFC is very, very top heavy.
Yeah.
And that's still the case. But the AFC,
Jacksonville, man, I wouldn't sleep on Jacksonville either. It's because they haven't played their best football yet.
They haven't played their best football,
and they're 5-2. And
yeah, they keep finding ways to win games.
They could very easily be the 2 seed in AFC too.
Very easy. I think if Lawrence can hit his stride and become more consistent.
Lawrence has played well.
He's played well, but he hasn't played that generational Andrew Luck guy.
They've
But I think
their pass
there's
catchers
another
have dealt
level.
with some drops, and
Yeah, there's a level he can hit. I think that he still has a chance to go up another level, and he has a talent to do it. And
ETN's been good.
I think if their
ETN has
defense,
been balling.
ATN's really good. I think if their defense can become more consistent on like the pass rush, because right now it's like Josh Allen and the who's who of whoever. If Trayvon Walker, like if they took Aiden Hutchinson in that draft, man, this team would be so fun. I'm so glad they didn't do that. But yeah, like if they can get just any type of pass rush outside of Josh Allen, and I think their secondary is actually not terrible. Their linebackers are really good.
Darius Williams has been balling out.
Darius Williams, well, they finally put him on the outside. They quit putting him in the fucking slot.
Well, I mean, that's where he strived early on in his career, but he's really matured as a player, though.
Yeah, they put
the
him on
more the season goes on, too, and the more reps, Calvin Ridley's going to get.
People
back.
forgot. They finally didn't
He's
hold it against him that he's like Muggsy Bogues' size.
Yeah, and Calvin Ridley's weird too, because like the way that whenever Zay Jones isn't out there and Zay Jones has been hurt, they basically use Calvin Ridley just to clear out the field for Christian Kirk. Like they just have him running go routes on the out.
Kirk's been so good, man.
It makes I don't as good of a route runner as Calvin Ridley is. It makes no. They've like 85% of his routes right now are out wide. Like he's hardly ever used in the slot. And I get Christian Kirk thrives there too, but Calvin Ridley's really versatile. Like you could get creative and move guys around, and
you can't put Christian Kirk out wide.
But you can for the sake of creating over the middle of the field touches for Calvin Ridley, who is also really good in his own route. Let him run the fucking go routes and clear the field out for Calvin Ridley a couple times. You like Christian Kirk also has that top end speed where you can send him on a go route and he's fast enough to clear the field out, and you can let Calvin Ridley get some over the middle of the field targets. They're doing nothing but asking Calvin Ridley to win reps on the sideline, which is that's like the toughest thing to do as a wide receiver.
Yeah, when what you said though, when Zay Jones comes back, I think that changes.
Zay Jones is the one that does a lot of the dirty work whenever he's healthy. And Calvin Ridley's two best, going back to the fantasy shit, Calvin Ridley's two best fantasy games this year have been the games that Zay Jones has played whenever he doesn't have to do as much of the dirty work.
But you want to talk about like we talked about Cincinnati and Buffalo quite a bit with their receiving core. I mean, Jacksonville.
That's a group of playmakers. Whenever you put whenever you put the tight end and Travis Etienne in there too, that's Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne.
That's pretty gross.
That's some playmakers, man.
I think Bigsby can get dirty in the goal line areas. Like he's a downhill type of guy.
Yeah, but every time you give the touch to Tank Bigsby, you're taking one away from Travis Etienne. You could just give your best running back the touches.
They're a team. Man, they could be tough.
That's what I'm saying. Like if Trevor Lawrence can if he can just take that just next go up one more level. That
the thing about them too is they played Kansas City extremely well last year in the playoffs.
Yeah,
they've already beaten Buffalo this year, which it was a overseas game, London, which are always weird.
A home game.
Yeah, Jacksonville home game.
They have better attendance probably there than what they do at home, honestly, but. And that's another thing too. Like that kind of like triggered something with me. The Chargers fan base is another reason why I think they're so bad. Anytime they have a home game,
they play 17 away games.
No,
they're never at home.
No offense, Drew. The LA fan base in general,
the Rams have home games as long as it's not like a prolific
Dallas
team,
or Pittsburgh,
Dallas, Pittsburgh, Philly. If those type of fan bases come in, forget about it. But like this past weekend where they played, or 2 weeks ago, whenever they played Arizona at home, it was a LA show.
Yeah.
That doesn't really. But that's what happens whenever you take teams out of the cities that they have a loyal fan base in and just throw them into a big market and root for these teams.
The San Diego games used to be like super fun, especially in the playoffs.
So I mean that's
I remember very very well. I remember those games.
I'll try to forget them.
All right, so before
15-1. Oh, they lost in the first round to the San Diego Chargers.
Before we get out of here, since we're getting up on 2 hours, Super Bowl predictions. Since we might not do this show again before the fucking Super Bowl, the way we've been doing this stuff lately. Hopefully, we will.
I want to talk about basketball too at some point.
Kansas City, Philadelphia,
Kansas City, Philly. Same.
I'm with you guys. I think it's Kansas City, Philly too. I mean, they're the two. I think they're the clear two best teams in the league. So who wins it? Kansas City get them another one?
I think Philly takes this one.
Kansas City goes and wins back to back.
I think they go back to back too. I think we're.
And then we get serious discussions about.
Is Patrick Mahomes better than Tom Brady?
The dynasty talk will be alive and well this offseason.
If he wins again, bro, there's a legitimacy that he could get to Brady.
As long as he stays healthy, he's gonna have all the counting stats. Like with the way the NFL, with the way the NFL already was whenever he came into the league.
Well, plus they added an extra game.
And they added an extra game. He's had Andy Reid from the jump.
Oh, you mean he came into a really good situation with a really good team?
Absolutely.
Really
he's also made chicken salad out of chicken shit at that receiving core.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why, like, if you want to compare anybody to Brady, because Brady did it for years too, Mahomes is that guy.
Mahomes.
Who's he throwing to outside Travis Kelce?
Chicken shit, like you said. Rashee Rice does look like he's good, but I mean, like whenever your other options are MVS, who has played with nothing but Hall of Fame quarterbacks his entire career and hadn't done shit with it,
can't produce.
Like whatever, and Sky Moore, and
he's no Alan Lazard, I'll tell you that.
Kadarius Toney.
Alan Lazard does make MVS look bad because he at least will block somebody.
Look, that receiving core is bad.
It's bad.
It's not good at all.
It's been that way since Tyreek left, and even whenever Tyreek was there, it was Kelce and Tyreek and nobody else. Which those are two really great options.
I was gonna say, well, I mean, like,
all you needed. But he won last year with Travis Kelce.
Yeah, it was him and Kelce.
I don't know. Juju balled out too there in the postseason.
Oh, get the fuck no! Juju was terrible last year.
Juju ran his routes and caught the ball and fell down. he had dependable hands.
He had a really good postseason.
But like that kind of just proves the point. If you're having to make a case for Juju at that point of his year being a good option in that receiving core.
Oh yeah.
Mahomes is one of those guys that he elevates the guys around him.
Yeah, as does Andy Reid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Coaching matters, man, and it will always continue to matter, no matter how much people want you to believe that it doesn't, and that it's all just the quarterback.
No, that's why the Colts are one of the best offenses in the league.
With Gardner Minshew. Yeah, coaching matters, man, and it will always continue to matter. So we got Philly and Kansas City again. 2 votes for Kansas City, 1 vote for Philly.
I think they'll split, and then I think next year they probably go back.
I hope we're all wrong, and it's like Detroit, Baltimore. That's what I hope.
I would love to see Baltimore. I would love to see Baltimore in that.
The world will catch on fire if Detroit makes the Super Bowl.
I need Lamar Jackson to win a ring. Like I need air in my lungs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just I've been on the Lamar Jackson train since day one. I've had to endure he's a running back talk, and then he won the MVP, and he led me to a fantasy title. So I'll always just have a special place. Sorry, Drew, for him.
I'm with you. I mean, I know I'm the one that traded him in that dynasty league, but I'm with you in terms of the love for Lamar.
Yeah, and then he's been hurt the last few years, and now it's I don't know if he could throw the ball. And he's just shredded.
Landon does love Lamar. He traded me turtles some time on Super Nintendo for Lamar Jackson in a fantasy football league.
I did trade him a very really nice copy of a really nice game for Lamar Jackson. I'm a massive Lamar fan.
Yeah, he's fucking incredible.
He's probably outside of like any Colts player, which really I take that back. Probably even with some Colts players, Lamar Jackson's probably my favorite player in football.
He's up there. He's up there for me. I would agree with you. He made me look really smart in a draft where I also made myself look really dumb because I had Lamar as quarterback 2 in his draft class, but I had Josh Allen down at like quarterback 4. And so like in the same breath where
it's a crapshoot, man, with quarterbacks. You're just rolling the dice.
But no, Lamar is awesome, man.
I hope Will Levis plays really good on Sunday.
Yeah, it's
that's something that I'll never say.
Who's Tennessee play this week?
That's another thing. Situations matter, and he's not in a good situation. Like out of all the teams that he could have been drafted to,
where's Treylon Burks then?
He's been hurt for like the last 3 weeks. He hasn't played for the last like 2-3 weeks.
Oh, you mean AJ Brown?
I can't believe they traded AJ Brown.
No, that's who I was told. Like, why would they pay AJ Brown? Because they could just Treylon Burks, who's just younger.
It's the Titans play the Falcons this week. Yeah, I'm rooting for the Titans this week. Go Titans. Go live, laugh, Levis, baby. Let's go.
Tighten up.
Yes, sir. All right. Landon, you want to get us out of here?
Sure, because I got pizza to go eat. It's late. Dinner.
It's very late.
Dinner at 11 o'clock. So yeah, if you guys somehow stuck with 2 hours.
We got a couple of viewers hanging out with us still somehow.
So yeah, if you guys somehow stuck with this, enjoyed it, we appreciate you. Go subscribe, go like the Twitter at 3Man Rush. Go follow all these dudes on the Twitter sphere. Drew, like if y'all are like big fantasy guys, go follow Drew. Especially with dynasty stuff and fantasy and frames. Shout out to those guys. He does phenomenal work for those. And then Jared, of course, the DFS guy, he won like $700 last night. So he clearly knows what he's doing, and I do not.
Thanks, Luca.
Yeah.
Thanks, Luca.
Luca got me in the doghouse, so not excited about that one. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back because I know I still want to talk NBA. I know Drew enjoys it. I know Jared's excited for the season too. So we'll hopefully hop back on here in next week maybe. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll talk some basketball.
Yeah, let's get together. Even if it's not next week, let's get together in the near future and talk basketball and let's talk some NBA DFS too. Since Jared's
how about after the World Series?
There you go.
Let's see a grown man cry or extremely happy,
or a grown man cry. Either way.
Yeah, there's gonna be tears one way or the other.
Yes.
So all righty. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we'll see you here shortly.